640 WFNZ. Cut that one off. That one right there, Carly Simons, that gets us banned in 13 countries just because we don't have rights. And I want to make sure that Roger Harris is seen in all 13 countries we're going to be banned. Roger, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Always good to be with you, Gilbert.
Well, if you don't know, Roger Harris is the founder and CEO of White Horse Financial Services. And because you're here at 9 o'clock, I'm going to get it right today. Because normally we toss to Fox News, but it's you that come on. You come on Tuesday, every Tuesday.
That's right.
So we're glad that you're here with us to kind of talk about different things. And one thing I want to talk about is the fact that the lottery is not coming up. It's happening, and no one won the jackpot last night. And you and I were just now talking off camera about the fact that $975 million is an awful lot of money. And what that means to the winner is going to be something else. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an insane amount of money. For most of us, it's just almost unfathomable. What does that money even mean? And then when you look at, you mentioned the taxes, we can just cut it in half and say, I believe you said it would be
423.3 million is the take home.
And so when a person looks at that kind of money and suddenly you have relatives you didn't know you had, you have phone calls, you have people that they know how they can help grow your money. And it's probably the last thing people need. It's interesting you brought that up. I was talking about that earlier, literally yesterday with my wife, people winning the lottery and how so many of them end up bankrupt. You know, how is that even possible?
Well, let's talk about how that's possible. And it doesn't have to be money from a lottery. It could be money that you inherit.
Right.
And things like that. Then all of a sudden you get money that you didn't have, that someone worked extremely hard to accumulate and save for you, or paid for an insurance policy that pays you big dividends to generate financial wealth and generational wealth. And you go out and buy 3 Mercedes, 2 houses, and start a business with an underwater basket weaving company.
Right. And I think it comes down to, it's something I refer to as unearned income. Unearned income is typically not respected. If mom and dad gave you an allowance just because you were there, but you didn't have to work for it, you didn't have to mow the yard, you didn't have to rake the leaves, those are the kind of things I had to do to get that $3. And that was only if I did the neighbor's yard, not their yard. That was.
Look,
you don't get paid to do your parents' yard.
Look, I shine shoes in Philadelphia. Right. I made my own shoe box. Went to the 5 and 10 and bought the shoe polish. I had black shoe polish, white shoe polish. Neutral shoe polish.
Neutral, yeah.
And I went around to the tap rooms in Philadelphia, and as a kid, shining shoes while people drank. And I had to put that money inside a cigarette container. It was 25 cents a shine. And I put it in my waist belt because the gangs would stop you and jump you and take your money. And then my kids want my money as hard as I worked for them. Dude, you get the point.
Yeah, the whole concept of somebody just getting money in a lottery. I was at the lake this past weekend and was having to stand in line behind a guy at the local shortstop, and had to wait for him to get his lottery tickets. And I was okay with it. I was not in a rush. I was at the lake. I'm relaxing. But the lady in front of me, she was really agitated, and she made it very plain that she didn't like that he was spending so much time getting a lottery ticket. But unfortunately, people believe, hey, what if I become a multimillionaire? And I'm like, I've never bought a lottery ticket in my life.
You haven't?
I have not.
And I buy them all the time. And my thing is, I know that you deal with numbers all the time, and it's real simple. The odds of winning is 292 million to 1.
Right.
That's the odds. For you, it's 0. You won't win at all.
Right.
And so I don't buy 15. I buy 1 lottery ticket because lightning is going to strike someone somewhere.
It is.
And so I look at it from that perspective. And I also always buy what's called the power play because, again, you deal with numbers. If you match all 5 numbers, what are the odds that I will ever match all 5 numbers again in my life? Probably none. So by buying the power play, instead of winning 1 million, I would win 2. Now, here's the other thing. I work pretty hard. I make a half-decent living. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't drink. There's a lot of things that I could put cash on that I don't do. So I don't mind buying a $3 lottery ticket. It's not going to change my life, and the mortgage is going to get paid.
Right.
So that's not it. I'm not buying 500 tickets because the odds of winning the lottery, and I think you would attest to this, remains about the same if you buy 10 or if you buy 1.
100%, because the numbers are so large.
That's right.
But what if you did win?
There you go.
Then it's like, what you spent to win was
Even
basically marginal. It was
even over the
negligent.
course of the years that I've played. And not if, but when I win tonight, you
There
will
you
be the
go.
first. You will be the
You will
first
call
call
me.
I make.
Yes, you told me
Now,
that. I look forward to the call.
so now when I call you, what advice do you call someone who to tell someone, not necessarily even with lottery, who comes into money
Right.
because of an inheritance? What's the first things they should do?
Yeah, one of the things, depending on that person's situation, the first thing I look at is money that's being wasted. And the biggest waste of money is high interest loans. Recently had a couple come in to see us, very young, early 30s. Between the two of them, they make a couple of $100,000 a year. That's pretty good money for people in their 30s. And got to looking and realizing they had interest on credit cards that was 25%. And their cash flow could pay off that credit card, having truck payments of $900 a month. In a couple of months, they could consolidate some of their debt and they could start to pay off those high interest loans, those credit cards. Just that itself saves an enormous amount of money. Quit paying interest. Low interest house, that's actually good debt. Bad debt are things like credit cards, things like, hey, I bought my furniture and it's going to pay it off in 24 months, or whatever it is. If it's high interest, it's bad. And if it's low interest, it's good because you get a deduction with the house payment, only the house payment.
Right, and that changed because there was a time when you used to get a deduction for credit card interest and all that stuff. That's
gone.
all wiped out. And you know, if you think about it, the government can set up rules and regulations to make you do certain things.
Right.
In other words, get married and have kids. The more kids you have, the more deductions you get, and
Right.
things like that.
Right,
And
the
some of
more
that's
kids
gone.
you have, the more people paying to Social Security. We had a
Exactly.
couple come in to see us. They had a very large number of kids, especially in today's world, almost double digits, very, very close. And we were talking about how Social Security, the reason why it's starting to go defunding, if you will, is because we don't have enough people paying in anymore.
Well,
And
no.
we have more and more people like us, baby boomers, who are living longer and longer. So more people getting it and less people paying in.
Well, but Roger, you're a numbers man. You deal with finances all along. What has happened with Social Security has really nothing to do with how many people there are, and has everything to do with the fact that those who got the money from Social Security did not invest it the way they should have, so that the pot would be bigger and
Right.
bigger. And that is it in a nutshell. That they spent the money on things that they weren't supposed to spend it on.
Right. The money got spent
That's
rather than
right.
sitting and growing. And
There you go.
And when we see the fraud, which is pretty frustrating to say the least, I think for a lot of us, we probably, especially our age, I know you've already claimed, obviously you're,
Sure.
you're 71, so you already claimed, and most people have. But for some of us who haven't claimed, and maybe even some who have, the probability of it being cut, maybe 25%, is very, very likely.
Well, and they could probably cut mine. Everyone is probably going to get cut. I don't know if I'm going to be grandfathered in, but it really doesn't matter.
That's a debate. That's an interesting discussion. Many of us believe it will not be grandfathered in. Others believe it will be, but we don't know, do we? It's the government.
No, we don't. And the problem is that even with tax returns, for example, a lot of people, not to change the subject, but just talk about where money is and what you think about money. People wait to get their tax return so they can go buy something. Uncle
Right.
Sam is giving you your money back.
No interest.
That's a no interest loan.
Right. It's absolutely. But
I don't mind paying a little taxes. That meant I did good. As long
Right.
as the number is tight, I did well. I did not loan Uncle Sam my money for a year tax interest free.
right.
That's how I look at it.
That is 100% right on. I'm glad you said that because so many people do not do that. They look forward to that tax return. And like, yeah, it's a return of your money you've already given Uncle Sam with zero interest, as opposed to pay the tax,
But
invest the money, save the money. It's your money.
But it's the mindset that we have either through advertisements, with Madison Avenue, and people are saying, or even advertisers, bring your tax return and you can buy a car.
Right.
And so people say, well, had I just saved that money, I would have that money at the end of a year
Right.
in order to put a down payment on a car.
Right.
And it'd be my money.
It'd be your money. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's interesting, but marketing is amazing
Sure. I
in
mean,
a bad way.
they tell us that cereal's shot from guns and it's good for us. No, cereal's not good for us. That's a whole different debate. Whole different debate. All right, so look, let's get back to the fact that there's the potential for a windfall for someone
Right.
to not even necessarily win the $975 million, but to win even smaller portions of jackpots. It doesn't have to be the big thing. Someone could win $100,000 or 300. There's one ticket out there that could get you 8 million, which gives you about 400 some odd thousand or whatever it is that you end up getting.
Right.
When you get a lump sum of money and it's time to do something with it, you've heard the horror stories of people just losing the bundle on crazy things. We had one case where there was a woman who won an awful lot of money and spent $10 million to pay the bail of her boyfriend to get him out of jail.
Oh.
And then the preacher of her church, she promised him a couple of $1 million and only gave him a couple $100,000. He sued her for the rest of the money.
And he got $200,000 free money.
So money makes a lot of people go crazy.
It does. It really does. I think it's a control thing. We feel like if we have money, we have control. But depending on if your mindset is right or wrong, and if we think wrong, money is a tool. Money is a tool. But for some people, the money controls them rather than them controlling the money. And sometimes if you get a large lump sum, let's say an inheritance, let's say it's $500,000, and you've never had that kind of money before. Probably the fewer people you make aware of that until you've talked to a financial professional, whether it's me or somebody else, and say, okay, first of all, what do you want to accomplish with this money? And what if it's 5 million or 500 million? But either way, most of us, we want to do something good with our money, but we also want to make sure we have money for ourselves.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to take a deep breath and say, man, at least, I can make myself debt-free.
Right.
And maybe I can make my kids debt-free. But, my thing is I would make my kids debt-free if I won, a big lottery amount of money. But they would also still have to work because at some point Dad's going to be gone.
Right.
And then what's going to happen with the money? And I've had a friend who's saving a lot of his money for his siblings to have something. And he's driving a raggedy car. Yep. And I'm saying to myself, what car do you think they're going to buy when you die?
Yeah. And, I see that a lot, especially with business owners where they want to make life easy for their kids and their grandkids. And it's not good for them. It's very rare for most businesses to pass to the second, much less the third generation.
Well, a lot of kids don't want to do what mom or dad.
It's too much work.
Yeah, they don't want to continue if you have a farm or if you're like me, a DJ. None of my kids want to come do what I do, be on the radio. They don't want to do this.
Right.
I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, we really have to look at money very differently. It's just a tool. It's not good. It's not bad. It depends on whose hands it's in. And really, what information do you have? I just encourage, get a second set of eyes when it comes to looking at that.
Not only whose hands it's in, but whose heart it's in as well.
Right.
What do you want to do? What good do you want to do with your money to make yourself be okay and make sure folks around you close? And let me say this. Right now, folks, before you get a ticket or whatever, write down who are the people that you see all the time. Mm-hmm. Who are the family members that you see? Because it can be layers of cousins. It can be an awful lot of people. But who do you see on a regular basis? Write those folks down and take care of those people. Everybody else, congratulations, thank you, sayonara.
There you go.
I'm going to say. That's my thing. Well, look, it's almost time for you to go, but you want to make a point here? How can people hear you and see you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, a couple of things. You can always go to our website. That's probably the easiest, and that's whitehorse-financial.com, whitehorse-financial.com. And you can schedule an appointment. You can see the staff. You can learn more about us. The other thing you can always do is you can just simply listen to us on the radio station here at WFNC, 9 a.m. Tuesday, and of course 8 a.m. on Saturday. And you can get a lot of information, a lot of education. But yeah, the website's the easiest. You can always call 910-583-4321. That's 910-583-4321. And we'll have a discussion. We'll determine if we're a good fit for each other.
Roger, it's always a pleasure talking. It seems like time just goes real fast when we talk because that means we're having great conversation. And before you leave, we're going to schedule you to come back again.
Okay.
And make sure we provide this type of information. I think if nothing else, it's stimulating to folks to think about numbers and things in a way that they may not have thought about them when you start interjecting your profession into how they should think.
Yeah, and it really is. It's amazing what money can do in the right hands or the wrong hands, and we want to be good stewards of our money.
All right. Roger Harris, CEO, founder of Whitehorse Financial. you're getting ready to come on again here in about 5 minutes on WFNC. You do it every Tuesday. We appreciate you. Right now, let's see, it's 8:56. You're listening to News Talk 640. We're WFNC.